Hello and welcome. Thanks for joining us this morning. We're going to allow a few more people to jump in here as we get going on the second of our webinars for the Marketing Webinar Series 2022. Thanks for joining us. I will go ahead and get started with the kind of intro package here. My name is Ryan Hecht. I'm the marketing director at the Arvada Chamber. Again, thanks so much for hopping on this morning. It's early. We were just talking about, getting our yawns out before we got started this morning. I just have a couple of reminders. So as you can see, this is a meeting version of a webinar rather than straight webinar. The last time we did this last month, we really missed seeing people's faces. And so if you feel comfortable turning on your camera, we'd love to see you. We also understand it's early. So if you don't have your game face on, we understand that too. But I know Denny's got some jokes later in the presentation, so it's always good to get that live reaction. So, and if you don't have those prepared, Denny, go ahead and start Googling dad jokes.
I have so many dad jokes already in my repertoire.
So some other reminders, the next two webinars. Oh, and let me just say, if you have questions throughout the presentation today, enter them into the chat. I'll be monitoring that and can jump in and ask those questions. Or if you're on camera, feel free to raise your hand and we'll get to you. Otherwise, as some reminders, we will send out a recording of this. We'll send out the presentation itself and contact information for our speakers. So if you have questions later on, you think of something on your drive to work or you drive home from work, I really have this great SEO question I need to ask Denny or Lisa, then you can send it to them directly. A couple reminders about the next two presentations that we have in this series. October 4th, we will be talking about maximizing your paid digital advertising. So we're looking at what are all the channels, your options, pay-per-click ads on Google, display ads, Facebook ads, if you're jumping into that. If you have budget for paid digital advertising, making sure that you have a really nice strategy around that and looking at all the channels so you can do so effectively. And then November 17th, really excited about this presentation. You may have noticed in the last 5 years, Coors Credit Union rebranded to OnTap Credit Union. If you've driven down Wadsworth the last few years, you've seen the amazing rebranding of the Arvada Center. It looks incredible. And I'm not going to ask you to Google it right now, but Piper Electric, if you haven't seen their brand new rebranding, it looks fantastic. So we will have a panel discussion with the marketing directors from all of those businesses and nonprofits to talk about why they decided to rebrand in the first place, the strategies that went into those rebrands, the rollout process, and lessons they learned along the way. So if that's something you're thinking about with your business or small business, taking that big step for rebranding, you can learn a lot from these local pros. So make sure to tune in to both of those webinars. Again, they're free and you can register at arvadachamber.org/events. On to our fantastic speakers for today. First of all, Lisa Bengtson is the CEO and Marketing Director of BlendWorks Digital Marketing. Lisa understands that marketing usually takes a back seat to the day-to-day tasks that are needed to get completed for small business owners. An optimized website and prime position in your digital presence is usually at the bottom of your business owner's to-do list. We all understand that. So BlendWorks Digital Marketing was developed out of the need for a strong online presence to grow business. As she says, let us focus on optimizing your online position while you focus on what you do best in your industry. And so happy to have Lisa on for this presentation. We also have Denny Basham, CEO at Subsilio Consulting. Denny is truly a reputation marketing guru. I don't throw around the guru title lightly. So really happy to have him here. His team at Subsilio works with local companies along the Front Range and beyond to enhance their market position and sales using reputation marketing, reputation management, branding, internet marketing, all that good stuff. They are consultants first and always understand the unique needs of every business before recommending tools and tactics to boost revenue. So with that, I will turn it over to Lisa and yeah, take it away.
Thanks, Ryan, and good morning, everybody. I know it's really early, so I'm drinking my coffee with you. So little introduction into BlendWorks. Like Ryan said, we are all about helping businesses basically get to the top of the Google search by blending different forms of marketing together. You'll see a picture here, my newest partner, my only partner, Lindsay, and she's on the call with us as well, but she just joined the business and we are expanding all of our services with her joining on. So I'm so lucky to have her on board. It's just been a really busy time. And so this is great to have her on and helping BlendWorks be able to help more businesses in the area. So. All right, next slide, please. Okay, so this first part's going to be a little interactive. I want you to take out your extra device or whatever you have. If you have an extra monitor, whatnot. I want you to Google your business category. No one tends to ever look up their own business. Most people don't visit their own websites. A lot of people have just paid to say, paid and said, okay, I had a website built. Now I assume people can find me, but that's not always the case. So just go into a Google search. And if you're an insurance agency, say insurance agencies near me, just kind of whatever your category is, and scroll down and see where you are on the list. Are you number one? Are you number two? Are you showing up as a paid ad, but then you're not showing back up until position 10, 11, 12? When you do a Google search, there are 20 per page in a Google search. And a lot of people don't realize, if they haven't done this exercise, that they may not be showing up on Google, and you're missing out on a lot of potential traffic and revenue for your business if you're not found. So, all right, next slide. So here you can see, I just typed in dentist near me. There's a lot of things that play a factor into this. And so you'll see the first one there is the paid ad that shows up. And then number 1, 2, and 3. And there's a lot of factors that go into how you get there that we're going to dive into later in this presentation. But I just wanted you to have an idea of where you fall on the list if you've never looked yourselves up. All right. The next thing we want to do is I want you to test the speed of your website. So if you have an extra browser and type in Page Speed Insights, it's going to take you to a Google page, and you just drop in your business URL into that page. So I'll give you guys all a minute or so to do that and run that audit. And Ryan, you can go ahead and go to the next slide where they're running their performance. So this performance is going to give you your mobile speed and your desktop speed. There's a toggle right underneath the URL section on this page. Mobile speed is never going to be, very rarely is mobile speed going to be in the green. It's always going to be slower than a desktop speed, but you really want to make sure your desktop speed is as optimized as it can be. So if you have a lot of photos, if you have a lot of videos on your website, depending on what platform it's built on, if it's a WordPress site and you don't have someone maintaining your website to update the plugins, then it's going to slow down your website. So Google's going to say, you know what, this website's in the red or it's in the yellow, it's not loading very fast. I'm not going to show them, and I'm going to show a site that's optimized, that's faster to load. Or even if Google has shown you, but the visitor goes to the site and they get impatient, because let's be real, everybody's impatient these days and they don't take time to let things load. So they just hit the back button and they go on to the next business. So just your website speed, you could be losing a lot of potential good traffic from not having that optimized. All right, next page. So really, what is SEO? So I've kind of talked about the user experience when they're on looking for someone in your category, but what does it mean? So search engine optimization is basically the best practices to get to the top of a Google search. And it's a lot of things. It's your page speed. And I have a graphic I'm going to go over here later, but there's a lot of things. And so you can have your paid ads. So over on the right, if I did a Google search, you can see the paid ads are showing up at the top. But the goal is to have your website have the best SEO. Is you want to show up organically right underneath those paid ads. You don't want to be spending thousands of dollars to get above other people on Google. People are getting smart and they're not clicking on those ads, or they click on them just to charge you, and then they click back and then they go to the actual first organic search, knowing that that business has their stuff together. Because they are at the top of the Google search. And being at the top of the Google search is going to get you about 27% of the online traffic. So if you're not in position 1, 2, 3, 4, you're not getting clicks. So it's basically, I'm a Kansas girl, but if you built a business out in the middle of a cornfield, like literally in the middle of the cornfield with no roads to it, nobody can find you. So nobody's going to bring you business. All right, next slide. So this here, you can see some of the click-through rates. So if you're in position 1, you're really getting the most traffic out of Google. And then it shows position 2, 3, 4, and just how really the positions, the lower you are on the list, the less traffic you're getting. So you want to do everything you can to get up above your competition and climb that list. And we're going to talk about ways to do that and get there. So this is showing, there's a few different, well, more than a few different ways, but SEO has 2 avenues. So you have your on-page and your off-page. So on-page SEO is what's truly on your website. So what content is on your website? Is there enough content on your website? What keywords are you using on your website, and is it optimized for your industry? You know, if I had a bunch of keywords on my website about, I don't know, going to concerts, then I'm going to have people coming to my page about concerts and looking for concert tickets, which makes no sense. That's not the business I'm in. So you want to make sure you have keywords for your business on your page. You want to make sure your images are optimized. So if you ran that page speed test and your website's really slow, we need to work on optimizing those images. Because if they're not optimized, they're a really large file. They're taking a long time to load, slowing your page down. And you also want to make sure your images are named with keywords before you ever upload them to your website. So there's a lot of strategies behind that. And then the other side to that is there's a lot of things you can do outside of your website for optimization purposes that you're like, well, why does Google care? Well, trust me, Google cares. And we're so focused mostly on Google because that's the #1 search engine. And there are a lot of up and coming, but most people are using Google to find what they're looking for. So in terms of off-page listings, there's things like link building. And so a link building is, I'll give a shout out to Julie Dawson with Value Ads on the call. But link building is if, say you advertise with Value Ads, you have your ad on her website. So now she is linking back to your website with your ad, and that's called a backlink. And Google likes that. The more backlinks you have to other websites, Google's going to say, you know what, Value Ads is trusting BlendWorks, and the chamber is trusting BlendWorks, and, all these other businesses are trusting BlendWorks, I'm going to trust their website that much more, because all these other businesses that also have great sites, they're trusting it. So I'm going to trust them. So link building is really important in that. Listings is very important. And I'm going to let Denny speak on listings. He's got a lot of information on that piece. Guest blogging is huge. So if you can, if the chamber would write an article about how great BlendWorks is, and they have a blog about BlendWorks on their website, that's going to help us, because now there's more content about BlendWorks on somebody else's page. It's going to link back to BlendWorks, and Google loves that. Social media. So we hear often, I'm spending a lot of money on social media. I don't know that I'm getting leads, and I'm just not going to do it. Well, that's not the thing to do, because it is helping you SEO wise. Whether you feel like it's getting you leads or not, just consistently posting is going to help. Also, like if I look up a business, and I'm maybe a little more in tune to this than others, but if I look up a business and I go to their social media and they haven't posted in a month, 2 months, sometimes even a year or more, I'm going to say this business is either struggling or they are out of business because there's no new content going up. Without ever reaching out to them, without looking into them further, without making a phone call, I'm just going to assume it's not a good business and I'm going to move on. So even if your leads aren't coming straight from social media, it's so important to have a strong presence on there. And then the last piece of off-page SEO is reviews. Reviews are very important, and Denny's going to cover why are they so important? How does that affect SEO? And so he'll get into all of those details. All right, next slide. Okay, so some basics of SEO and some resources of how do I get there? How do I learn this? So you want to do some research on your best keywords. There's a website called wordstream.com/keywords. Use it. So that's a free one. There's also a lot of paid ones you can use. I have a software that I use to give me this information. But if I would go to WordStream and type in web designer, it's going to give me web designer, and it's going to give me other keywords that I may not have thought of, like different variations of it. And then it's going to show me the traffic for that keyword. And so you're going to want to pick keywords for your industry that give you the most traffic. You can even look up, some systems will tell you if you can break it down to your area. So for example, if we do website designer in Denver, is going to be a lot different than if you look up the keyword website designer in Westmoreland, Kansas, which is where I'm from. It's a town of 600 people. Nobody cares about a website in Westmoreland, Kansas, because it's all about who you know, and there's literally one street. So there's no competition. There's only one grocery store, one bank, one, of all the businesses. So it's going to be different based off where you are for your keywords. Naming images. So before you ever upload an image to your website, to social media, to Google My Business, make sure you have named that image with a keyword, your business name, and your location. It matters. You don't want to upload images that are like image 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Google pulls that information, whether you think it or not, they do. If you're looking and either you have a website or you're looking to refresh your website, build it on WordPress. Don't go with well, there's benefits to Shopify if you're selling products, but there's Shopify, there's Wix, there's all these platforms, Squarespace, that are very user-friendly to build a website on. Those are really good for DIY builders. If you're like, I want to save money, I want to do it that's great. And it's a good starting point. But WordPress is where you want to be for the best optimization, for the best to help get you the best positions on Google. WordPress is the platform. You want to consistently be adding new content to your website. It's not a set it and forget it. I built it, now I don't have to touch it for years. You need to keep the content on there fresh. Denny's going to talk about some of this too, so I'm not going to go into too much detail. But you want to consistently be putting it on there. That's why everyone does blog writing. That's why, you update your photos. You want to keep things consistent, updated, and fresh on your site. If you want more information on your website, have someone run an audit on it. Reach out to Denny or I. We can run an audit on your website and let you know where you stand with the competition. We don't have to have access to your site, and it will help us know, are your images optimized? Are your pages optimized? For example, if I have a link on my website back to the Arvada Chamber's website, but the Arvada Chamber changed their URL, which happens a lot. Now I have a link on my website that's considered bad. And Google's like, well, their information's not up to date. Their website is leading to a site that's no longer. That's not good. So now my website hurts because links aren't updated to where I've been giving external backlinks to. So those are things to look at. There's just a lot of hidden things that you wouldn't normally think of. You want to make sure you're tracking, looking at the analytics on your website. A lot of people don't track anything. They don't know where they're getting their clicks from. They don't know how many clicks they're getting a month, a week, what day of the week is a better traffic week on their website. Is it morning? Is it night? So you really want to follow and know your analytics, because that's going to help guide you to who is your target market. That helps guide you to what are you posting on social media? What are you doing to reach your ideal clients? Knowing those analytics is a big piece of that. Also, you want to make sure your website is optimized for voice search. So if you have an Alexa in your home, if you are driving and you speak into your phone and say, find me a website designer. If your website's not optimized for voice search, then these vocal devices aren't going to find you. And right now, about 27% of searches are done with voice. And that's just going to keep going up more and more. So if your website hasn't been optimized for that, do that. The best way to optimize for voice searches are to have frequently asked questions on your site. So what would you say into your phone if you were looking for your business? Write it out in a question form, just like what you say to Siri or Alexa, and answer it. So straight out question mark, answer. Those are really good to have on each page of your website. If you have different services, have 5 or 6 frequently asked questions on the bottom. That's going to give you additional content on your website. It's going to give you fresh content on your website to keep those updated. So that's a really good feature to have on there if you don't. And then I kind of already covered the internal and external links and what that looks like. So internal linking would be if on my homepage, I link to my services page. If I write a blog about SEO, now I'm going to link my blog back to my services page on SEO. So those are internal links that you want to float between your own pages. And then external links was the example I gave, is if I was advertising with value ads and they put a link back to BlendWorks on their website with my ad. And so those are like little hidden gems that you don't think about benefiting your business to have external links. That's another reason too, that you really want to optimize your profile with the chamber. Make sure We were just talking about this in our B2B group last week with Mary, and make sure all of that's optimized. Make sure you have a headshot photo on there that's named with keywords before you upload it. Make sure you have links to your social media, to your website. So those are just free gimmies that it just takes a little bit of time, but it's free for you to go do and have those pieces optimized for your business. All right, next. All right, I'm going to hand the rest of this presentation over to Denny. And then any questions on any of that, we can always answer at the end.
There we go. Thanks, Lisa. Great job. And thanks, Ryan, for hosting this once again. By the way, I'm Denny with Subsilio Consulting. We're a reputation-focused full-service digital agency, and we can handle all of your online marketing. This is the team. This is my headshot from when I was 10 years old as well. Now, this is really just a stylized image, which I hate, but I think it looks cool. So we got to do that, right? By the way, Ryan probably thought I wouldn't actually do the dad jokes, and I was just thinking about Queen Speaker. I'm not going to say her name because she will activate, but you ask the Queen Speaker a question and you say, what is an elephant? And she'll respond with, an iPhone is a digital media device. And I'm like, stop it. I wanted to know about elephants. By the way, 2 dad jokes too, since you asked, Ryan. What do you call it when you put a clock under your desk? Working overtime. There you go. And then another one. So I ordered a deck of cards from Amazon, and 2 weeks later, I still haven't gotten it. Customer service told me they're dealing with it. All right, there you go. That's all I got, Ryan. Okay, so I'm going to hit my timers going. So next slide. So we're going to talk about easy ways to be visible online and what really impacts. This is going to be a lot about off-page SEO, I would say, the things that directly impact. And it's always about quality content too. It's one of the things we were talking about the other day in prep for this call is quality content matters. And that's the biggest thing that you can do to make yourself visible is to provide that quality content. So go on to the next slide. So we're going to talk a little about online listings too, and some more about quality content, about reviews towards the end there, and then also how you can contact us to do a free online scan just like Lisa can do as well. First of all, you have to be found and be accurate. So it's really important that your listings be updated, and then also you want to be able to see proof of performance to be able to see what your listings look like, because if you don't know what they look like, how do you know what to change? So that's one of the things that we provide. So those listings but what are listings, by the way? So go ahead and go to it. A big one would be name, address, and phone number. These are the citations that drive traffic to your site. And so also website is part of that. We'll call it NAP. I call it NAPWA with the W in there as well. So that means when people are searching for you, there's a lot of local search. They're searching for Arvada Chamber. They're searching for Arvada Florist. They're searching for Arvada Bank. They're searching for Arvada Web Designer, right? They're going to be a local search. So if you don't have your name, address, and phone number on your website, correct, on your social media accounts, on your listings, people are not going to be able to find you. Google's going to get confused, and you're not going to show up in that local search. So it's really, really important that you have that name, address, and phone number information updated and current, and that you don't have duplicates. By the way, one of the things we see a lot is sometimes businesses that have been around for a while have had a few different people work on their social media, work on their websites, work on whatever, and you get like duplicate listings out there. Often that's one of the things we have to fix is they have like 10 listings. They have some on LinkedIn, they have some out on social media. It's all over the place, right? That's something that's really important, is getting that consistent and non-duplicated. Next slide. So that's a big factor. And also citations are kind of what Lisa was talking about, where other sites link back to you. It's really important that, once again, if your NAP information is not correct, those links are going to go back to the wrong place, maybe even in the wrong city. If you change your phone number, some things to think about. Do people know how to find you? By the way, this is a side topic here, but you think about your online profiles. Do you have correct information out there? Is your phone number on your social media? Like, this is one of the things we see a lot. Like, oh, I got a great social media account, but where's the phone number? Where's your website? Do people know how to reach you? Like this thing, I've seen ads before too, where people didn't even put phone numbers on ads. It drives me nuts. People are still going to call you. Yeah, you want them to click on your ad, right? It is important that they click on the ad, but if they can't find you online, what's going on, right? And so there's a lot of different places. Yelp's another big one. That's a review site, but it's also a listing site. Google My Business is another big one. Make sure that your listing is correct on Google My Business. And it's really an upvote. If it's not correct out there, you're not going to show up in that map. You know, when you search on Arvada, like I said, Flores, for example, you're not going to show up on the map if your name, address, and phone number is not in Arvada, right? So be really careful with that kind of stuff. And that's what drives your visibility in a big way. Next slide. So it basically makes sure everything is correct. I mean, that's what I was just saying, right? But they mentioned the duplicate stuff. Be careful with that. Oftentimes you may have to work with an agency because some of this stuff is hard to get off. You know, we have connections at Google, which we lost we lost our Google rep at COVID. We just finally picked up a new Google rep, which is like, we just had a call yesterday with them. And it's like, I'm glad we have someone at Google again that's a human, not a robot, not artificial intelligence, because we've had challenges where YouTube accounts get taken offline. All kinds of weird stuff has happened out there for our clients and even for us. So like, thank God we have a Google rep now again. And same with even Facebook. We have a contact at Facebook. There's these weird fake reviews that have been showing up for cryptocurrency, by the way. And so I found someone from grad school that worked at Facebook and was able to get a human to actually help us get those fake reviews removed. So crazy stuff happens out there online. Next slide. All right, so go ahead.
Real quick, there's a question of if they are statewide versus local for Arvada. You know, if they are a statewide business, what do you suggest, you know, for Google to be found statewide versus just?
Yeah, if it's a multiple location thing, that's another piece too. Like you want each location to have its own listing. So I'm not sure your service, like you might want to just do a service area that is the entire state. That's how I would probably handle in Google My Business. But you still should focus on at least one primary address. That's where your main business is going to come from. So if it's Arvada, make sure you have an address in Arvada for your listings. But a lot of companies, we work with a mortgage company that has multiple locations, both here in Colorado and out in Florida and also in Arizona. And every one of those locations has what we would call, actually they have their own websites, and then we have a central branding site for those. But then also make sure each location has its own listing. If you have locations, you need your own social media, you need your own listings, you need your own review sites for that, right? So
does it hurt like when sorry, that was my question.
Go ahead.
Does it hurt to make a new one in another, like, so we're focusing around Pueblo, but we're in Denver, so we don't have anything in Pueblo, but would it be and it's not our physical location, we actually are telemedicine, but we co-locate with unique partners.
Yep.
So I don't know, with our 5-star reviews on our current Google My Business, would it be still beneficial to have one for down there, since that's another regional focus we have and more presence of actual co-location? So we are in facilities, we're just not owning a building or renting.
Right. It's always a difficult thing when you have those two locations where you don't have a physical presence or a physical office. Like, what do you do? Like, we were working with a gutter company that's up in Conifer, and they also wanted to have presence in Denver, but their physical location is in Conifer. And it was a bit of back and forth. Like, they wanted, if you have a second location, make sure you have an office address that you can list it to, that you can claim. That's a big piece of it. So you don't want to use a shared location. Excuse me, if you're down in Pueblo, if that's not a location you can put a suite address on and claim as your own, don't try to compete with other businesses that are at the same address, or if there's multiple businesses at that same physical address, right? I mean, I think that's a key. But if you're going to put a second location in, make sure you have a physical presence of some sort that you can claim, that you can put out there, right? I mean, I think that's because we had our client was like, well, we just have this PO box or something we want to use for the Denver address, and I'm like, that's not going to work. You really need it, when possible, to have a physical address, right? Does that answer your question?
That's super helpful. Thank you.
Okay, cool. So I should have said Google My Business. I forgot to change this. Google keeps changing the names. Like, how often can they rename it? I don't know what the name's going to be tomorrow. It's G Suite one day. It's Google Workspace now. Now Google Plus is Google My Business. What's the new name going to be? It's going to be Elephant iPhone. I don't know. Anyway, so Google My Business is super important. You know, sites like Twitter and Facebook and Yelp are important. So all those things have a huge effect in your ranking, right? And but make sure that, make sure that that local information is present and is out there. Next slide. So just once again, listings, I'm hitting it hard. Name, address, and phone number and website is critical. And also another thing about this too, I know Lisa and their team focus a lot on branding, and we talk about it too. Make sure your brand is consistent across all your platforms. One of the things that we see, and I was just talking about phone numbers and website addresses. I see these social media covers a lot of times where it's just like you get a dentist and it's a picture of some happy one person, whoever's happy sitting in the dentist chair, by the way, not me, but someone happy person's in the dentist chair, like thumbs up with like a dentist coming down in with a drill, and there's no phone number, there's no website address on those social media covers. Make sure your contact information is out there. And then also, something people forget about a lot is claiming your business listings. That means going into Yelp, going into Google My Business, and making sure there's a process to actually claim them. To make sure that you have control of them. And this means you can respond to reviews that people put out there. This means you can post on social media. And by the way, make sure they're business listings. We see a lot of times where people have personal listings out there that are not a business listing. Make sure it's a business listing, or Google's going to get really confused. And make sure you only have one of them per location, as I've already said a few times. So that stuff is super critical. Next slide.
Hey, Denny, it looks like
I had another question. Sorry,
yeah.
I'm like just starting to learn about SEO.
I like questions.
So I find Google My Business is really awesome because that's the only thing I would do, and it would just increase my people traffic and like appointments. But I have an online, obviously, scheduling. So like there's, it's all, I think a lot of it is like for COVID, but like obviously they have telehealth, and my patient scheduling service is on somebody else's website.
Right.
So, but if I want to make it patient centric, I would want to click just to schedule the appointment. So I have it for that specific site. The question is that a good idea, or should I have a special page that like does scheduling and then you can click from my site?
It's always better to have it's always better to have stuff on your own sites when possible. I mean, it's unavoidable in something like if you use Acuity, you may have a secondary,
right?
For example, for scheduling, you may have to go somewhere else. But I also am a big fan of branding it. Like even if you use like a system like Acuity, pay the extra money to get your own domain on there, and then use that, or a subdomain of your main domain to use for scheduling schedule.subsilioconsulting.com, for example. Because you just want all the Google juice, as I call it, SEO juice, to go back to your main domain, as much as possible, and avoid clicking off of your domain whenever possible too. You want to keep people captured on your site as much as you can, right?
Yeah.
So that's how I think about it.
I'm trying to get like the experience actually embedded on my page.
Yeah.
So that's always on my page. But the service wasn't forward thinking there.
Yeah, sometimes it's an iframe, or like, it's like sometimes it just depends on the service you use, right? Like, I mean, I have a scheduling page for people to schedule appointments with me, right? But it is an off-site page, but mostly I try to most times keep people on my site as much as possible, right? So anyway, there's that. Does that answer that question, Sarah?
Yes,
Good?
Thank you.
Okay, cool. You're welcome. So other things, there are online data providers. There's three big ones, and some people may have never heard of Foursquare, by the way, but Foursquare is one of the biggest data aggregators for even Google. So they have hundreds and hundreds of sites. They feed your name, address, and phone number information. We have a tool we use internally called Listing Distribution that actually talks to those data providers so that your name, address, phone number, even logos in some cases, and photos can be updated and synced, and then that pushes data back out to the internet. So if that information is not correct, they can be pushing bad data. We also often see no data. So I'm not sure which is worse, no data, or I think bad data is probably worse. Having bad old phone numbers getting reinforced so people can't find you. Old websites, you see this too a lot. So make sure that that data is correct. And we also use something called Listing Sync that does a real-time push of 50 sites so that it's updated and current. Which is one thing I'm going to always mention is avoid Yext. There's some other companies out there that focus on use Yext. Yext is like this is bad for pigs, but it's like putting lipstick on a pig. So you can dress up a pig, you can put some makeup on the pig, and put lipstick on the pig, but at the end of the day, it's still gonna be a pig. It's the same thing that Yext does. So when Yext comes in, they overlay your listings, and they put their own listings out there. If you ever stop using Yext, all of the stuff they did goes away, and your old listings come back. That's why we are cautious about using Yext, by the way. Lipstick on a pig. We already mentioned separating business and personal social profiles, social media profiles. And finally, like and follow other businesses. This is like the duh. Like when we work with companies, we often get a list of other businesses they work with, and then we want to like back to those businesses, and like the Arvada Chamber, other Arvada Chamber members, like their social media stuff. This will help your visibility more than you might expect, right? So that's another little tips. Next one. All right, claiming a site. So once again, allows you to respond to reviews. Make sure you claim your Google My Business page. Make sure you have a Google My Business page. Make sure you have business pages out there on listing sites. Facebook is huge now. We were just talking to someone the other day who said, I don't want to do Facebook. I'm not out there with 12-year-old girls talking about dating tips. I swear to God, this is like the conversation. And I'm like, it's not about that. And it's not even about you going out there and talking about any of that stuff. It's about making sure your business is active on social media. Regular, consistent content always wins. So if you don't have a Facebook page, if you think I'll just do LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, these are all important. But make sure Facebook's out there for sure, because that's a great place for people to leave reviews. Second to Google My Business now. Yelp is still out there. We love them and hate them. These verifications have gotten weird recently. They've started, like, Google's done this too. Go walk around your business to prove you're actually physically there, right? We've seen these videos. I had it happen with crypto the other day. They wanted a picture of my online banking, and they wanted an actual video from me saying I was a real person. I'm like, what? I'm a real person? Come on now. But there's a bunch of review sites out there, but the big ones matter the most. But really put reviews everywhere. Next slide. Sorry, I've said this. I'm repeating myself, I guess. But there are hundreds of sites out there that you can put. I mean, everything from Yahoo to Dex. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. A lot of these echo, by the way. So you'll end up with putting a review out on Yelp. It'll echo back out on Yahoo. It'll echo on other sites. It'll echo back out to Yellow Pages. So some of these sites feed reviews to other sites. But it's just really important that you have those set up, and also to respond to online reviews so that enhances your credibility. One little side note on this: if you do ever get a negative review, by the way, we're happy to help walk through that with any chamber members or your referrals. The number one thing is don't respond to negative reviews until you try to get it changed, removed, or updated so it's positive. Contact the customer before because if you respond to an online review that's negative, it's never going away. I'm going to tell you that. So don't do that. We have a process. Anyway, next slide. So one of the things we talked about when Lisa and Ryan and I were talking the other day is, like, how do you know who you're talking to? So it is really important that you know who your target audience is. This is my little target audience messaging portion of the presentation. So next slide. Who's your target audience? Who are your best buyers? Where do they come from? Who's an ideal buyer for you? Where do they hang out? What are the demographics? Is it, women aged 25 to 40 with kids? Is it, are they seniors? Who are your demographics and what motivates them? So what do they have in common? That is going to inform your messaging that you put back out there online. Also, what's your unique selling proposition? Think about that. You don't have to answer in the chat, but what is your unique selling proposition? What makes you unique? And if you don't know who's out there you're talking to, how do you know what to say to them? So really think about this when it should inform everything you do online, every single thing, whether it's how what your social covers look like, how your listings are claimed, what your website looks like, who you're talking to. So remember that piece when you do everything else is informed by that. Next slide. Okay, at the end of the day, we've said this: quality content matters. Don't use canned content. Like, don't go use the same content that 20,000 other people are using. Create your own content that's relevant and local and relevant to that target audience we just talked about. That quality content wins. Quality content's definitely reviews. Quality content's definitely social media. Quality content's even video. Start thinking about video if you're not using it. Next slide. Online content matters. We know that people read reviews. You know, we're a reputation-focused agency. That's how we started. We believe reviews really, really matter. So make sure you're getting reviews. I was just looking at our stuff. I'm like, we got to get more reviews again. We need to get some more of our own reviews going. We forget to ask. It's cobbler's kids, no shoes type of thing, right? But get reviews. Consumers read this stuff. Consumers trust this stuff. And a lot of people will leave a review if you just ask. Sometimes you have to ask more than once, by the way. And a personal ask matters. We have systems that ask for, ask people to leave reviews for our clients, but it also matters that you talk to your client, your customers, and say, hey, can you leave me a review? Do you like me? Like, leave one for the chamber today, by the way. I think it's also good. Do you like the chamber? Leave a review for them, by the way. I mean, I'm asking. So when you ask, you'll get 7 out of 10 leave. We'll see if 7 out of 10 leave a review or not, Ryan. And next slide.
I'll just mention, Denny, since we were talking about this last week, I needed tire services. So I went to Google and I went to a place that had the best local reviews and I had great service. And what was the first thing you said? Did you leave a review after?
Right.
And so if you are using Google to find a place based on good reviews, do the same in return if you have a great experience, and encourage your customers to do the same. That's my tip based on what our conversation last week.
I call it being a reputation or review connoisseur. And also, how can you ask for reviews unless you leave reviews? So it's like, it seemed like people that sell life insurance, they always ask you when you start selling life insurance, which I did long, long ago. Hey, do you own any life insurance? It's hard to sell something you don't already own and believe in. Same with reviews. How do you ask people to leave reviews if you don't do it yourself? Next slide. All right, I feel like I know I'm a little over time, so I'm going to probably flip these pretty quick. So, I always say the 5-star reviews is a given. Have a plan for this, right? Do it yourself or have someone do it for you, depending on how much time you have, right? Something we do a lot of is our reviews and review requests and feedback requests. Once again, crafting that message so it's based on your target audience. And also remember, online, don't talk just about your business. Talk about stuff that matters to you. If you want to talk about puppies, go ahead. I won't stop you. Puppies and kittens. I love puppies and kittens. Maybe puppies a little bit more, but anyway, small animals, small. Have you all seen the video the other day of the lady that was running down the forest in France, was running, and she had a whole herd of sheep behind her. Like, apparently they saw her as a leader and they got lost in the woods or something. And there was this lady running by in a red shirt, and there were like 200 sheep. There's a video, check it on Instagram, of the sheep, not the people, but the sheep following the single runner through the forest. Funny video, but that's interesting. So talk more than just about your business. You can talk about sheep and runners too if you want. Next slide. All right. Once again, don't use canned content. Look at video. Create follow-up for prospects that are automated. And text is kind of the new email too. There are systems that can be set up. First of all, to get ads, if you're within a bubble of your competitor's bubble, you can get ads. And also reaching prospects through text is huge. Every single site I seem to go to recently is like, hey, sign up for rewards and we'll text you, and sign in, we'll opt in, and there you go. You'll get 10% off. Text is huge. It's everywhere now. Next slide. All right, final pieces here. Where do you start? What does your online profile look like? So this is my little place you can go to look up your online profile. Go to the next slide. ShowMeMyRep.com. That's our site. You can just put in your business information and phone number. It'll pull up your online profiles. But that really, what the point of that, and for also anything that Lisa can help you with as far as looking at your online stuff, is you need to know where to start. So if you don't know what things look like online and having a system that can pull that information together in one place, how do you know where to start? So having a starting plan after you see where you are is important. We have those snapshot reports. Be happy to look at that with you and schedule a one-to-one and go through it with you. We always help our Arvada chamber members. I mentioned with 3 reports and also review responses, especially if you get a negative review, reach out to us. We'll help you. We're not going to charge you for that. We'll help you with the process to make sure, see if you can get it removed and how to handle it. But don't do it yourself and just Well, first of all, final piece on negative reviews, and it does happen from time to time. If you get one, sleep on it first and don't reply right away, no matter what. And if you decide to reply, ping me, because I'm really good about taking the emotion out of being really annoyed that someone, as a business owner, you get annoyed when someone leaves a negative review, right? You got to take the emotion out of it, and you got to take a step back and take a deep breath. So anyway, I think that's it for me, other than a little graphic of the snapshot report with a guy pointing at stuff. And I know I'm over time, so I'm gonna stop talking now. But thanks for all the questions, by the way.
Thanks, Denny. And I think we have Lisa, you want to talk about your workshop that you have coming up?
Yeah, and if you guys have any questions, raise your hand or start putting them in the chat. We are happy to answer questions. So BlendWorks is going to be hosting a workshop on October 11th here at Thrive Workplace. So it's going to be a very interactive workshop. You're going to walk away accomplishing a lot. I want you to bring computers. It's not a sit and listen. This is interactive. We're taking actionable steps to help your SEO, to help you get found on Google. So you can sign up, but we're going to have those audits for you. We're going to talk about all different forms of marketing, what is best for you, have one-on-one sessions with everyone that is there. Yeah, it's going to be a really fun workshop. We are so excited. If you have questions or anything, shoot me an email, give me a call. You can ask Lindsay as well. But yeah, we're excited for this. And then one thing too, on the Google My Business we were talking about before is we've came across some where people have their home address listed as their Google My Business. So people can click on the business and they are seeing a photo of your home. People are crazy these days. If you have your home address on your Google My Business, get it off ASAP. Like,
God, please get it off.
It's better not to have an address than to have your home address.
Yeah, we have one client that refuses to remove her home address from her website and from her social media. And there's like nothing I can do to convince her. I'm like, just, you want to stop? I mean, just, come on. Like, wait. By the way, it's funny. Like it's Lisa's picture and my contact information. That's interesting. I'm secretly Lisa. We are secretly the same person, by the way. Yeah. Hey, by the way, worst case side note on this, like PO boxes don't work. But there's, especially at new UPS stores, you can often get a PO box that's brand new, that's never been claimed. That's what we recommend, other than post office. If you have to get an address, ideal if you can get a physical street address that's unique. But worse, the second best case is go get a UPS mailbox at a new UPS store and put in like a suite number, like 625, 300. Don't get like 794. It doesn't sound much like an actual physical address. Get like a suite number that you can claim from it. You can use UPS stores. Not every time, but it's a good place to get a secondary site. So
cool. Well, if there are no other questions for us, again, I will send a follow-up email with a recording with contact information, links for the snapshot report, reminder for the workshop that Lisa's putting on. I want to thank Lisa and Denny so much. Oh, Sarah, you do have a question. Go for it.
Last question. So my biggest thing is, kind of focusing. I would like to have my organization join some of the chambers. But again, if you're statewide, it makes it a little harder, I think, to spread that money widely. Is there any that are not in Arvada that are also good chambers to be a part of? Do you know any companies like that? Because, I think that's the biggest thing, is that I really appreciate Arvada Chamber of Commerce because I think they do a really great job. But is there others that are in the greater Denver area or Colorado Springs? Or
I didn't even know there were other chambers other than the Arvada Chamber, Ryan. What's this other chamber thing she's talking about?
Right. Denny, thanks. Your check's in the mail.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Sarah, I can send you kind of a list of some chambers that I trust in the
okay,
area.
cool.
If anybody
There's other good ones out there. Maybe they're not as cool as Arvada, but
And Sarah, there's groups too, like the Applewood Business Association. I've heard a lot about Firestorm recently, from actually Julie Dawson has shared with me groups like that. So it's not chamber based, but still business based for those networking. So those can be some options as well.
It's always BNI. So, I mean, we're part of BNI. We've been part of BNI for 6 years, Action Partners, biggest chapter here in Colorado and one of the biggest in the country, down here in Denver. BNI and any of those other kind of networking groups, referral groups. Business Networking International, it's a referral-based networking group, has about 50 locations here along the Front Range, right? And the physical, it's from as small as like 10 people up to 70 plus, which is our chapter, right? So it's people that get together that pass referrals to each other and develop relationships. I mean, the chamber has leads groups as well, right? Yeah. But there are plenty of BNI. There's BNI chapters all over the world, and there's other ones that are similar, like LaTip. Is LaTip still around? I don't even know. I haven't been in a LaTip group in a long time, but there's other stuff.
Awesome, thank you.
And Sarah, these are good questions to ask other members of the groups you might be a part of with the chamber. So if you go to an AYP meeting, just ask, what other networking groups you might be a part of, what leads groups are working for you. They can be, good referral partners for you on that front. But I'll send you a list also. Good question, Sarah. Thanks for interacting with us. And for everyone else, thanks so much for being here. Denny, Lisa, thanks for presenting. We hope to see you for the next 2 webinars and hope to see you in person at another chamber event. Thanks so much.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, are we leaving now, Ryan? Thanks for having us, for sure. Thanks for being here. I'm still here. I just don't want to leave.
Okay, well, bye.